firstly, speaking a little bit about your background, you moved from Bulgaria to London from a very young age to pursue a degree at Central St. Martin's. What was the change of scenery like for you?
Moving to London, it was a big change in general. All this entire new life and culture and way of living and studying in one of the best schools of arts with all these creative people around me was very interesting and new for me. So that definitely shaped my future and my point of view and everything like what I'm interested in. Yeah.
And is your Bulgarian background an influence to you when it comes to your work?
Yeah, in my last collection I used a few pieces that are very significant for my background culture in Bulgaria, which is hand-waved pieces. Their name is, fuck. Okay. It's called halishte, which is hand-waved, 100% wool, hand-dyed, and usually these pieces are produced up in the mountain and like 20 years ago, not anymore. So it's upcycling pieces we're using and recreating our collection where we try to make them modern and we want to see a new way of, new more experimental way of using my background in Bulgaria.
Gen Z, Generation Z, while remaining a mystery to many, is still very fearless, outspoken and open-minded generation that it's set to carry large responsibility in shifting fashion structure in order to evolve towards a more inclusive and sustainable future. As a young designer yourself and one that would cater to this generation of very mindful yet powerful consumers, how important are those values to you? And are they intersected within your creative process in any way?
I'm half the generation, part of the Gen Z as well. So I believe that some of the way how I'm working nowadays and my approach and it's the same like Gen Z. And I don't follow anything, but I believe that I'm into this culture anyway. So to me, it's natural to understand what they need, and it's natural to follow all the new wave because I'm part of it anyway, and I'm born in the middle between Gen Z and the old generation. They don't. I don't get inspired by them, but I'm part of this new wave, so to me it's very natural to go on, to be on the same page with them.
And your graduate collection focused on a new definition of masculinity and reconstructing tailored silhouettes to the male body through an impressive combination of different fabrics and materials. How did the inspirations for those come from?
Yeah, my graduate collection was very experimental. I was always been interested in military uniforms. On the same time, the beauty of couture and these beautiful dresses. The brand that we started now, it's mainly based on menswear, and that's our target. So I really want to explore, and I really want to develop the idea of having tailoring and reconstructed pieces that represent menswear, but with a new approach. So we use very feminine fabrics like satin, and we use some techniques that are very couture techniques like hand embroidered pieces, but instead of embroidering something very fragile and beautiful, we were embroidering screws, metal screws. So I was just playing around with masculinity and with very feminine details as well. But the approach was very different in a way that I didn't want to make menswear feminine. I want to make like women's wear more masculine and be more wearable for men's. So my approach was like upside down, because usually the approach is the opposite when people try to make the menswear very feminine, and to me it was the opposite. So yeah, I was playing around with a lot of couture details and cuts, but with the shape of men's uniforms and military uniforms.
Okay, so and another large topic of the past decade, which promises to remain center stage in the next years to come, is sustainability. As your work is centered around repurposing vintage materials, can you describe how you took this initiative?
As I said in the previous question, explaining this Bulgarian material I'm using, this is upcycled pieces that nowadays nobody's using anymore, so I'm just trying to make, to have new approach about it and just to make more modern way people want to wear it. Sustainability is a very important topic, that's for sure. And in the future with our brand, we're definitely going to develop this with more clothes that are going to be made out of leftover fabrics, materials as well. And we are on our way of developing this topic because it's definitely very important and part of the DNA of our brand.
Okay, and with upcycling in mind, how does the process of sourcing fabrics go for your collections go? Do you have a pre-selection of materials you would like to work with, or do you construct your collections around the materials you can gather?
Yeah, my approach is a bit different than the big brands because for now it's a bit separate of having the designs first and then looking for the materials and the fabrication based on the research. I don't get inspired at the first place of fabrics and then making the clothes. It's the opposite way. But I'm sure that it's very individual because if I find like a beautiful fabric, for example, that can inspire the whole collection. So it depends of the timing and what I get inspired by. But usually it's first the research and then it's the fabrication.
Okay. And there's also something very poetic in providing new life to these vintage materials or old garments. While the construction and combination of materials within your collection is quite forward-thinking and futuristic, it's undeniable there is also a sense of nostalgia in it. What is the process in approaching a new point of view towards something that might be considered used, secondhand, or disposable to some people?
Yeah, so I'm mainly inspired by 70s, 80s, and during this time you can see that all these clothes, they have so much history in them and there was like so strong point of view. So to me, using and exploring these clothes and just developing them in a modern way and modern approach so people in 2020 they can see it in a different way and be satisfied and still interesting in the clothes is very important. And all this history that comes with all these cuts and even fabrication of the clothes is very important to me, and that really inspires me. So vintage clothes are very important for me in a way that you can learn so much only through the details of the clothes, that they were very specific for the time when they were creating the clothes.
So how do you personally define luxury in these days, and how do you see the same concept changing in the future?
Yeah, to me luxury is very it's very unique for everyone. So for example, in our brand, for me luxury means something that you can have. It's a one-off piece, so you're the only one who can have it. And part of our collection with upcycling pieces are very luxurious in this way because, for example, everything what we create from upcycling pieces, from the Halishta, from the Bulgarian hand-woven pieces, we cannot create that anymore in the same way because they're hand-dyed, hand-woven, and you can find just one piece. And I don't want to say the whole word, but probably yeah. So to me nowadays luxury combining with upcycling and saving the environment probably is just having one-off piece, so you don't have to go in a massive production and recreate pieces for like in a big quantity.
And how do you see the concept of luxury in the future?
That's what I'm saying. So in the future, I believe that if people understand that luxury could be one-off piece, and then we're not producing the same pieces all the time, that could be luxury, like spend a bit more money for one item, but you know it's a unique one and it's not reproduced in many numbers.
And you have also recently developed a collection with the Robert Mapplethorpe Foundation. How did this collaboration come about, and how did his work influence you?
I've been always interested by his work. I think it's very sensitive, simple and beautiful, at the same time very strong, and that's everything what my brand is about. So to me it was very natural just to get inspired by the photography, or at least the feeling it gives me. So it doesn't have to be a specific picture or a specific image of his work, but the entire mood, the history behind, and his way of working as well. Yeah, that's how I get inspired by. It's probably more about the mood and the feeling I get from his photography and from his work, instead of like a specific piece and specific piece of work.
And how did you approach the foundation for the collaboration?
So, yeah, I mean, I went through the whole archive and I tried to get the mood out of it. As I said previously, it wasn't like getting an image and like getting inspired by somebody who was wearing something on the image. It was the whole mood that this foundation gave me, and the feeling I got after researching a lot about his work and the main foundation.
And aside from Mapplethorpe, who else have you ever felt compelled by, which has speak to some inspiration within your work? Is there any cultural figure from your childhood that still provides inspiration for you today?
I've been always interested in also in Georgia O'Keeffe. Georgia O'Keeffe and Mick Jagger as well, which represent a very strong vision of 70s, with the personal style, with the music, with the lyrics, with the whole mood he gives to the world, and and also Georgia O'Keeffe with her vision, with the colors. She's one of the greatest American artists. And for the new collection, in my mind, there was a collaboration between both of them. They both lived in the same time. They had very strong and different visions, so it was very interesting to me how I can combine their power together and just to create something together. So the new collection is based on them, both of them mixing together the personal style of Mick Jagger and the pattern cutting inspired by the paintings of Georgia O'Keeffe and the shapes, and just everything comes together. And again, it's the same like Robert Mapplethorpe. To me it was very natural, because that's figures that I've been always inspired by and fascinated, not only by their work but also their personal life, biography and point of view. So in the end, I'm trying to express my point of view through the mood and the feeling I get from these people, instead of being inspired by a specific painting or specific song. With the clothes, also when we talk about the vintage clothes, and when you said how important are they to me, they are only because of how strong they are and how much they represent the time when they were created and they were made. So it's the same with these people, with all these figures that I'm inspired by. It's about the time and how they were living through their entire life and what they say and what they give to the world.
So, previous to earning your degree and establishing your namesake brand, you worked within the menswear departments of Lanvin and Saint Laurent in Paris. What were these experiences like for you? And has the city and the work of either brand influenced you at all?
Yeah, definitely. Working for Lanvin and for Saint Laurent was very important for me and shaping my future decisions and the way how I work now, that's for sure. I've always been inspired by the history of both brands, and it helped me a lot to understand what exactly I want and how I want to go in the future, and how to shape my future brand. It was definitely important and good experience for me.
And has working with either of these brands or any particular project provided you with feelings of how you would like to conduct your business?
Yeah, it's there's no specific things that I want to follow, but being inside of big brands and see everything from first sight, it's very important, and definitely I take notes.
And we have thankfully seen many brilliant emerging talents within the industry recently. How would you describe your generation of designers?
I think our generation is very interesting, very strong, with a strong point of view, aware of what's going on around the world, aware of the problems of nowadays, which is very important. So we want to speak out loud so people can hear. And I think that nowadays it's more important than ever being a designer with point of view and have vision and speak out about the problems in the world. And try to share your experience with everyone and try to share your point of view and your statement. So our generation is very related to what's happening now, which is very important. So, yeah.
Do you think that your generation, the upcoming generation of voices within the fashion industry, will change the establishment of it in terms of seasons, trends, and cultural influences in any way?
Yeah, we are on our way of doing that. That's for sure. Like, definitely the old approach of fashion, and it doesn't work anymore. Everything is changed. Everything is different. So the time is now when we're trying to shape and to make changes. It doesn't work that fast. It takes time, and we have to experiment. We have to see what works, what doesn't work. But definitely, everyone there are very strong brands that they try to change everything inside of the fashion world. Yeah, I cannot be more specific because I cannot think about it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as a recent graduate and the head among a young brand, what are some of the next steps you have in mind for yourself for the future and your business as well?
I don't want to rush, that's for sure. I want to follow my instinct. I want to do everything step by step without rushing, and just developing the brand and yeah, I don't want to take every opportunity I was giving just because of the sake of that, just to have it with me and just to be, okay, they give me the opportunity, so let's take it. Everything has to be considered, and it has to be on the right time, and if I don't feel the right time, I wouldn't take it only because people think, oh, this is an amazing opportunity, you have to do it now. If it doesn't work with my brand, and if it's not the right time, I just don't want to rush. I think that's very important for young brands. I don't want to burn very quick. It's just everything takes time. I want to introduce the brand to people, and because my idea of the brand is to make something that stays longer in the industry, and to me that takes more time. It's not something that just pop up being exciting and then just disappear. It takes time to people to learn about it, to customers to have the knowledge about this brand, because the pieces I make now are this kind of piece that I want to be not just fashionable for the season, but I want you to wear the clothes in a few seasons and just don't feel the pressure that it's not modern anymore. So making something classic in a way, but still modern and works in the future, it's very sustainable for my brand, but that takes time. So it's very difficult because you have to get the right decisions. You have to know what exactly is good for this time for you, for the brand, instead of taking every single opportunity and just like don't follow your path and don't know what you do. So yeah, and to me that's very sustainable if you do it like step by step, and if you of course you have to make something that is exciting, but then it has to be in my mind, my vision of the brand is something exciting, but exciting in 5 years as well. So it has to be classic and modern the same way, which is difficult to give the knowledge to people, and because it's very easy if you try to be trendy, if you try to be fashionable, but then the brand is burning very fast and quick, if that makes sense to you, what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying I don't want to rush with the brand. I want to establish something that people have the knowledge about, because behind everything what I'm doing, there's a lot of there's a lot, not history, but there's a point of view behind everything what I do, and I want people to understand and to know exactly what was the inspiration behind, or to know what's the detail, why the color is so wild, and all the stuff, like small details that are like a classic approach about the brand.
And do you have any specific goal you want to reach in the future?
I do have a lot, but I want to keep it for me because it's still a goal.
Okay, but that was the last question actually.